I'm the least confident that Blake Masters will win. In fact, I suspect that he won't win. It's not because I don't like Blake Masters. I think he's done a good job. I think he's a good candidate. I think he's a cool dude. It's not because he hasn't run a good campaign. I think he's done a great job actually challenging an incumbent Democrat senator, especially one who rose to that position or who achieved the vote the way that Mark Kelly did, or achieved his position, I should say, not the vote, the way that Mark Kelly did. But the reason that if Blake Masters doesn't win in Arizona today, it's Mitch McConnell's fault. Because Arizona, as a state, this race is actually a lesson in electioneering. Because in Arizona, 50% of the vote is early voting. And vote outcome is highly dependent on fundraising. It might sound crude. It might sound kind of bald. Like, don't people have passion about their own principles? But the person who spends the most money on advertising typically wins. Not always, but in these sorts of races, they typically win. And when 50% of voters vote early, then fundraising early and spending early matter. But what happened to Blake Masters? Well, early on, Mitch McConnell pulled an incredible amount of money out of the Arizona Senate race. $8 million gone. He had pledged that to Blake Masters, and then he went back on his word and he didn't spend that on Blake Masters. And so what will happen? What happened? Well, we don't know the totals. We don't know the tallies from the early vote. But even if Blake Masters has the momentum now, because now there is a lot of money, there is a lot of fundraising, there is a lot of excitement about his campaign. But before, he didn't have the same money as his opponent. So even if he wins in a landslide on election day, which he probably will actually win on election day, can he overcome the deficit of the Democrat outspending him during the season of early voting? I don't know the answer to that. I suspect not. The Democrats knew this. And who else knew this? Mitch McConnell knew this. Mitch McConnell knew exactly what he was doing when he pulled that money out of Blake Masters. Now, I hope I'm wrong on this. I hope that Blake Masters easily overcomes that deficit. I hope that the deficit wasn't as significant as I think it was. I hope the money wasn't as one-to-one with voters as it oftentimes is. I hope that this analysis is incorrect. But this exact scenario has happened before. In fact, Jesse Kelly did an entire thread about this scenario happening to him when he ran for Congress in Texas. And this happened to him. He didn't get early funding. He lost early voting. He won in a landslide on election day, but the deficit was too large and he couldn't overcome the number of votes that he had lost during early voting because he didn't have the money. There's no way in the world that Mitch McConnell didn't understand what he was doing. And so I'm interested in watching the Blake Masters, Mark Kelly race to see this play out, to see if this is the reality of the thing. It will be very clear to us the role that McConnell plays in our party and where his priorities lie if this turns out the way that I fear it might turn out.